Hey, congrats on getting 300 views on your video. The people that commented really were a blessing though, they the GOAT. That aside, I am happy you stayed away from endorsing any candidates. You're not the type of YouTuber to just jump on a trend and have something unique to provide based off your own views and philosophical thinking. I hope you keep this up. Kind of tired of all the news of people like Mr. Beast.
I am making a Mr. Beast video.
I swear to God I am going to.
Excuse me, please. Mr. More Pegasus, Megasus, I implore your permission and blessing to cover Mr. Beast. I have no offerings, but I wish to comment on the situation. Do not get me wrong, I am not only of the opinion Mr. Beast is guilty, I think if he is, he should face the consequences of his actions relative to the laws he has allegedly broken. This video will not attempt to defend him in the capacity of facing consequences. I am here so people understand some of the reasons the famous people you look up to turn out the way they do, horrible. With reference to philosophical backgrounds, this is an excuse to teach you, so shush, but comment your thoughts and feelings in the comments, I'll listen. Described as the magistrate of history, Lord Acton was one of the great personalities of the 19th century, and is universally considered to be one of the most learned Englishmen of his time. He made the history of liberty his life's work. Indeed, he considered political liberty the essential condition and guardian of religious liberty. He developed a principle, after observing the trends of his environment, which I believe you all know well, and a quote, "Power tends to corrupt and absolute power corrupts absolutely." End quote. I am sure you all have your objections, but allow me to elaborate more on this. If you're religious, do not take offense because I don't care that much. But imagine you were a god, so far removed from everything in your creation that the difference in importance for you, in relation to everything else, is the difference between the size of the sun and the size of an atom. Would you care if the flicking of your hand resulted in the unloving of an ant? What about their entire species? All ants ever? What about the planet they reside in? What value do you place on others versus your own that you genuinely feel you need to act keeping them in mind? I know I yapped a lot, but basically, why should Mr. Beast care about people that are not Mr. Beast? I could honestly talk about this for hours. I tend to care very quickly for people I barely know. But this video isn't for me. And I hope kids don't click on this expecting something child appropriate. I hope YouTube clutches.
Shouldn't he care for others, because we are all human beings?
Why would that be sufficient reason? Ugh, sorry. Why is that a good enough reason for him?
God? Basic human decency?
What if he doesn't care about decency? If the allegations are true, he doesn't even care about the law. Why care about something he isn't guaranteed to get punished for? Machiavellus, the prince, to quote, according to Machiavelli, a prudent ruler must adapt to new situations and problems, acting as a fox in order to recognize traps, and as a lion when he must frighten off wolves. Machiavelli argues that the lion is defenseless against traps, while the fox is defenseless against wolves and other physical threats. But a reasonable summary and an evolution of the corruption problem lies in necessity. Machiavelli presents a pragmatic view of power, suggesting that rulers must be willing to engage in morally dubious actions to maintain their power. His work illustrates how the pursuit of power can lead to ethical compromises. To stay on top, you need to be cruel. If you're old enough, take a look at the world's responses to civilian casualties. 1. No war is perfect. 2. There will always be civilian casualties. We can't let that fact stop us from doing the right thing. Monsters will go as far as saying, they deserve it. I honestly find it a bit unfair, if I am being honest, that you can rally and hate on someone like Mr. Beast without bothering to hold your governments accountable. Why aren't popular YouTubers calling out what Israel has been and is doing? Did it never occur to any of you that you have fans there? I don't want any more casualties. I know for a fact there are innocent people there. Please excuse me. Hume argued that one cannot derive an ought from an is. In other words, factual statements about the world, what is, cannot directly dictate moral imperatives, what ought to be done. This raises the question of how we can justify moral claims based solely on empirical observations. Just because you think that there is an objective right thing to do, does not mean that its factual existence mandates people to follow it. It effectively provides Zero intrinsic incentives to anyone without the added social, physical or mental backlash or reward. Worldwide, estimates suggest more than 70 billion chickens are killed each year, not including chickens killed by the egg industry. According to senientmedia.org, I can almost swear you never thought about the genocide necessary to get you your McDonald's. All in all, Mr. Beast, if guilty, is in the wrong, not even touching on some of his arguably predatory practices. But that alone doesn't seem to bother him. He is still uploading, and still moving forward. And I do not believe the way society tackles people like him is sufficient to address the societal problems that created him in the first place. If you made it this far, while you're my favorite human, thank you for your time.